I call this meeting to order. If you would follow along with the Pledge of Allegiance with the invocation from Eric Schmidt.
Our Father in heaven, we thank Thee for this beautiful Ozarks day that we've been blessed with. We're so grateful to Thee for the temperature and for the ability to get out and about. Father, we are grateful to Thee to come together now as city leaders and as staff to discuss the affairs of the city and to make important decisions that help guide this city in being an incredible place to live and to visit. Father, we ask Thee now to please bless our elected leaders with the clarity of mind and the knowledge to discern the items that they must, that our department heads will be able to provide the information they need to make the decisions as we go forth and continue to improve the city. We ask these things now as well as blessings upon those in our community. And we say this in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Eric. Madam Clerk, would you take a roll call vote, please?
LeBlanc.
Here.
Rodriguez. Howden.
Here.
Milton.
Yep.
Cooper. Here. Denham.
Here.
Benton.
Here.
Your Honor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have public comments tonight?
We do. We have 4 signed up this evening.
So this is the public comments section of the Board of Aldermen meeting. At this time, the board will hear the citizens who have signed up in the order they are listed. Please note the clerk will let the speakers know when they have 30 seconds left and a notification sound when their time is up. We ask the speakers wrap up the comments upon hearing the 30-second warning. If a speaker would like a board member to bring an item from the consent agenda down for additional discussion, please note this request during comments. Madam Clerk, who's our first speaker?
Our first speaker is Doug Clark, speaking on grants, contracts, oath of office, and transformation of our type of government.
Doug Clark, 121A, St. Andrews Street, Branson, Missouri. Last time I talked to you a little bit about the World Economic Forum infiltration into our state, and this is UNIDOC. This is the policing urban space, and this is what's directing most of the conversion of the police departments across the country. It's been going on for quite some time. But first, I wanted to address a couple of things here. One of them is, I had a question. I was looking over oaths of office, and it seems to me that we have a statement in the oath of office says demean is the only influencing thing in the whole oath of office on the local here. Now, I think that personally it ought to be an oath of office ought to have to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, because we have them in our midst here in various degrees in the state of Missouri that are converting us over to a socialist type of government. And so basically, according to the Bible, you have a watchman on the wall. His job is to watch if the community's getting encroached upon or the enemy's trying to get in. And the laws of treason, misprision and treason are from that statement in the Bible. So misprision of treason is if you see something or you see something undermining our government or if you see something else that brings your attention that you need to be telling somebody about, if you don't do it and later on somebody discovers that and it goes to court and somebody else gets charged with a crime and they know that you knew about it, you're criminally charged or can be criminally charged also. So we have the treason and misprision and treason things, and if you don't have an enforcement thing in an oath of office, you have no control or anything else to leverage somebody out of office other than just those 2 things that are in the U.S. Code. Okay, so we have people here in the state of Missouri that are on all of our college campuses. They're in our chambers of commerce, and they're pushing international world government. And it's not like it's a ho-hum. It's actually out there, and that's what they're trying to do because they tell you in their own words in various statements. And it has to do with environment, it has to do with community organized policing, it's in education, and we're paying the bill for these people to do this because once they get it stalled and are operating within a committee in any kind of government, and they are taking grant money, they're obligated to a contract, and if the contract tells them to do this, they have to do it. If they don't do it, they get the contract canceled and all the money's gone. So we're all sitting around here scurrying around trying to find grants so that we make ends meet in all different aspects of our government right now. Now, I'm not putting the finger on anybody here today about, maybe or maybe not seeing this for what it is, but community-oriented policing is one that I spotted about 15 years ago. And the iconic idea of it came from the University of Michigan from a guy by the name of Tranowitz, and he was an outright Marxist. He was the original or one of the main people organizing the community-oriented policing department from the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. So he was the instigating guy that wrote the main thing that operates with. Now, if you read some of his writings, he says that we have to break down the social barrier from the family, from God, because we're losing the control of the Bible over enforcing people's morality. So what they have to do is they have to engineer ability to control that, because they can't do it in schools because of lack of morality and all of the other stuff that's going on in schools right now is the social justice, the diversity, everything that's going on there. Guess what? That just didn't plop in there out of the clear blue. It was a plan. It goes clear back to the 1920s. And you can, if you want to go brain dead, you can read all that stuff, but these people, you have to understand the people that are trying to do this to us to ruin our government have been doing it for a long time, and they never give up, and if they figure out that you're spotting what they're doing, they change the terminology, the language, and the words. And so that's basically it in a nutshell. I mean, you can examine every area that's affecting our lives here in Branson, from education to any type of grant that's coming out of any kind of foundation or cross-granting is all run by these type of people. Now, most of them are like what Stalin said, are a bunch of useful idiots. They just don't realize it because they're in a little box, and they don't see outside the box.
Thank you, Doug.
That's about it. Anybody wants to browse through the minutia and see if it's not what I'm saying it is, you're welcome to it. Just give me a call.
Madam Clerk.
Our next speaker is Gabriella Chrisman, speaking on a water bill.
Good evening. I'm Gabriella Chrisman, and I do not know, but does the city have anything to do with our water? So if I'm bringing a complaint to you guys, is it worth listening to? I don't know, but I'm pretty upset.
Gabriella, is it with the city of Branson? Because in city of
Yes.
Branson, there's 3 water districts.
I'm with right here, next
Okay,
door.
I'm sorry, yes. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't know either until
Okay,
they made me learn.
fair enough.
Okay, I have a bill. I received the bill in December, and it was like $79, which I'm by myself, okay? That's high for me, but they change things happen, and I'm ready, we'll go by. I pay mine automatically. I don't pay it every month the way, I don't write a check, they just withdraw from the bank. So this, for January or February, they sent, I had another bill, and it was $130. And I said, what is going on? I called the first one, and they said, oh, we'll fix it for you. Don't worry about it. In January, I got a bill for $130. I was shocked. I went to check if there was a leak, if there was anything going on. I had the meter looked at and everything. Nothing was going on. So I called again. Oh, well, you had a leak last year, and we just estimated it. And I said, okay, that's fine. But don't take out 130 out of my checking account this month because I don't know what I'll have in there. Oh, no, we won't. I promise you, we're going to take care of this. Got my check, got my bill, got my statement. They took out $130. You know, if I didn't have the money, I would have bounced. They shouldn't have told me that. They should have took care of the business. That's what they're being paid for. So then I got a statement the other day, and I don't understand the word that they said. Either I've overpaid them, or I've underpaid them, or something. I want to be explained what I'm paying for. I want to know why they are doing what they're doing. And they have a job. I'm old-fashioned. When I had a job, I took care of it. And they've got a job, they need to take care of it too. Just because I'm an old woman, I'm getting tired of the city of Branson thinking that they can just kick me anytime they want to. I've had a car parked across the street. I had 2 years probation out of it because I had a car parked across the street from my house because it belonged to the city. I was in California at the time. I couldn't move it. When I got back, the judge said, yes, it was against law. Okay? Somebody's got a boat parked there, and I don't know how long it's been parked, but they're all right. They're not, but I was. Like I said, I'm getting tired of it, and it's going to have to stop. And if you guys want to help, fine. If you don't, I don't know what to do. But, you know, if they don't want me there, you guys can buy my house. It's for sale. It's what I want for it. I'm not giving it away like you're not giving yours away. But they can buy it. The city of Branson can buy it. But they're going to have to treat me like they treat my neighbors. And that's all I have to say, and I want to know what this means. Can you guys transfer it for me?
Hold on a second. Kathy?
Ma'am, I'm going to ask Cherie, our finance director, to meet with you outside, and she'd be more than happy to go over that with you. So I apologize for your aggravation, but we will make it right. So thank you very much.
I know, but if I'm late, you guys charge me extra.
She's going to go
And
over
if you
all
guys,
of that with
if you
you.
owe me money, I want money. I'm charging you extra.
Have a nice night.
Did you
Thank
get that,
you.
Cherie? Thank you. We'll talk to Cherie. You bet. Madam Clerk?
Our next speaker is Tracy Douthard, speaking on introduction.
Hello. My name is Dr. Tracy Douthard. I'm a physical therapist here in town. I'm new to the meetings, so I've got a lot to learn. I have served on various boards for HOA, ministry, my church, back in Michigan. I've been here about 10 years now in Branson. I've had 2 children graduate from Branson schools, and that was wonderful. Enjoyed that, and great schools, and loved going to the football games. I actually enjoy public speaking. Have been a local business owner for about 9 years now. I contract with various schools for physical therapy, and as well as working at Cox Hospital for a few years while I was building up the business. And then my husband and I we've been small business owners for over 25 years now. And I did graduate from the University of Michigan. That was interesting. He talked about that earlier. I'm definitely not a Marxist, though. And I am an avid prayer, though, however, for the success and prosperity of Branson. I'm involved with several prayer groups that would do that. And actually, I pray for several of you by name each day. So I have been involved in a local homeless ministry for a few years. And I know the last meeting I was at, somebody, maybe it was you, made a comment about that, of course, because of the increase and of that. And I've been seeing that too, and starting to do some research on what other areas have done to see what can really, help with that, because that something needs to be done, And I know that there are the ministries that are doing things, but and then the last thing I just look forward to getting to know others and getting involved somehow. So I just wanted you to know a little bit about me so that you have an idea if there's some, task force or committee or something. And I'm looking into the various things that are available, but especially with the homeless ministry. That's pretty near, and families and the future for our children. I have a real heart for that. That's my kind of main thing. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tracy. Dr. Tracy, it is individuals like you that make this place a better place to live. So thank you. Madam Clerk?
Our final speaker is Gary Groman, speaking on priority.
I must admit, my priorities changed somewhat from when I originally signed up after listening to that rendition about community policing. I recently had an experience with a Branson police officer. Within the last 2 weeks, I was coming back from a medical appointment up in Columbia, and I was pulled over. My daughter-in-law was driving. We had a taillight out. And I can assure you, that was the most professional, personable approach I've ever seen. You could not have asked for anything more from the police officer. And I wasn't driving, had my hat on, didn't know me from Adam. Just, there's no doubt in my mind that that's the way he conducts his business each and every stop. Now, I don't know about this community policing stuff, but to me, community policing is interacting with your police department. And we are just so blessed to have the police department that we have. For a town this size, and I'm sorry, I just don't believe that they're connected with some big world conspiracy, particularly knowing Chief Schmidt. And I've listened to him be attacked up here. I've listened to certain ones of you be attacked up here. And why do you let it go on? Now, what I really wanted to talk to you about, priority-wise, was the CID. I ran out of Hallmark movies, so I watched the CID meeting on the tape. And I'll tell you, for pure excitement, we're spending all that money out there, and that's fine. It's people a lot brighter than I know that people just want to walk up and down the strip in 100-degree weather in July, and it's worth $100 million to do it, and that we want to pay for 76 maintenance in perpetuity. I'm sure they know. I don't know. But what I do know is that we have a downtown that, miracle of all miracles, still resembles the old Branson, what Branson used to be. We're in this big transition, changing everything. And the very thing that brought a lot of us here, the old-time flavor and all that, is still downtown. And yet, I believe it was 2015, we started a rehab project downtown. Here we are, sitting here tonight, and that thing is still only 3/4 done. It's 4 times over budget. Why aren't we giving priority to getting that done? And I'm not against doing something in 76 and whatever you're going to do there. I mean, but I think we ought to get our priorities right. And as I listened to some of the design stuff they want to do, it was just amazing to me. And I think it was Mike said, issued a caution. He said, you might want to keep your design pretty close to budget. And folks, that's something that I hope you guys will watch if we're going to be putting city money into that CID, beyond what the CID is raising. Anything we're not obligated to put in, we shouldn't put in unless there's an overwhelming need to do so. And I beg you, please watch that. The priority ought to go to finishing downtown. They've been waiting a heck of a lot longer.
Don't go anywhere. Quick update. Start off with 76 CID and downtown are 2 different.
I know that.
So the city, when I say the city's not putting any money into 76 CID, the city's putting money in the underground and the water lines. So it's the 76 CID tax revenue that is paying for everything above ground, okay? I said on the
And
76th.
I'm,
Yeah. For the downtown, Kathy, would you update us? Because I know, Gary, the downtown is on our list right now, and it's not on the bottom of the list. It's on the list right now for us to finally finish that project.
hallelujah. No,
Do you have any information on that, Kathy?
Just not really an update at this point, but there's been lots of conversations that we've been having now with the DBBA. And in the budget that you all approved for 2024, I don't remember if it's 4.5 or 5 million. Michael's
Yeah.
not here. Was it?
We
Oh,
budgeted.
Kendall, you got something? Yeah, that's right. Kendall's got some updates on that.
So we budgeted money, we fully plan on finishing downtown, like it should have been at the beginning.
thank you.
Kendall, give us some more information.
I want to step in for Michael real quick, but we collaborate with him every Monday, and he is working on releasing an RFQ for that project here soon. So they're drafting it right now. So they select an engineer to design that project.
Thank you so much for that update.
I couldn't ask for any faster action than that.
There you go.
I mean, that is great. I mean,
And Gary, thank you for taking the time to comment on our police department. We all are so proud of them, and with the leadership of Chief Schmidt and even some of my interactions with our police officers, we should be and we are very proud of them. Thank you for saying that. Madam Clerk, that's it. Next is the consent agenda. Are there any items the board would like moved down from consent to ask additional questions or comments? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you please read the items on the consent agenda?
Your Honor, the items on the consent agenda are as follows. Approval of the Board of Aldermen minutes for the February 13th, 2024 study session and February 13th, 2024 regular meeting. Acknowledge receipt of Planning Commission regular meeting minutes for the December 5th, 2023 and January 4th, 2024 meetings. Acknowledgement of disbursements for January 18th, 2024 through February 15th, 2024. Final reading of Bill number 6413, an ordinance approving a professional services provider list on an on-call basis for a term of 3 years. And final reading of Bill number 6414, an ordinance amending section 86-621 of the Branson Municipal Code pertaining to Schedule 1 stop signs. Your Honor, that concludes the reading of the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a motion approving all items on the consent agenda?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you take a roll call vote, please?
LeBlanc?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Howden?
Yes.
Cooper?
Yes.
Denham? Yes. Fenton?
Yes.
The result of the vote is 6-0, motion carries. Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill number 6418, an ordinance amending Appendix A of the Branson Municipal Code pertaining to utilities fee schedule, water and sewer system connection charges.
You've heard the first reading of Bill number 6418. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Actually, we had two motions in 1 second. And we'll get a staff report from Kendall.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. It was requested staff bring before the Board of Aldermen an exemption in water sewer system connection charges and a refund proposal to customers for charges previously collected for 2023 calendar year. A notice of public hearing was given at least 30 days in advance of the public hearing held as part of the January 23rd, 2024 Board of Aldermen meeting. As a result of the public hearing comments heard from the public and the board, an ordinance amending Branson Municipal Code is being presented for board approval. A sewer system connection charge is a one-time fee paid by new development to finance construction of public facilities needed to serve them. Stated another way, the system connection charges are a contribution of capital to either reimburse existing customers for available capacity in the existing system or to help finance planned future growth-related capital improvements. These charges are intended to provide funds to the utility to finance all or part of the capital improvements needed to serve or accommodate new customer growth. The charge is based on the size of the water meter needed to serve the development and the use of the property. Currently, the system connection charge consists of 3 classifications: residential, which is single-family and multifamily dwelling; commercial class 1, which is retail sales, office buildings, and nightly rentals with individual water meters; and commercial class 2 is all customers not in class 1. The specific proposed change is not to collect an additional connection fee to existing residential properties who have paid the initial connection fee then converted their use to nightly rental. These properties, however, will be charged commercial user rates due to the use being changed from residential to commercial. An additional request was made to refund the charges collected in 2023 for properties that were charged additional system connection charges for the change of use from residential to nightly rental use. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
In summary, what we discovered was we had some properties, and I'll just use an example of a single-family residence that paid a connection fee, took up to city water, changed the use to a overnight rental, and was charged again for a connection fee. So on the board, we felt that that was an unnecessary fee because there wasn't an actual connection. The user would pay the higher commercial rates, but the connection fee just seemed to be double dipping. So any questions, comments from the audience? Questions, comments from the board? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kendall. Thanks, Kendall.
Your Honor, the next item is a public hearing and first reading of Bill Number 6419, an ordinance amending Chapter 94-60 of the Branson Municipal Code pertaining to the table of permitted uses and tattoo parlors.
We will now have an open public hearing and begin with a staff report from Jennifer Luna Thompson. Am I supposed to open up a meeting? We've opened up a new meeting.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Mayor and the board. So yes, we're here tonight to talk about the tattoo parlors, and just for an update real quick, this was before you on January 9th at the Board of Aldermen meeting, and staff presented 2 code amendments that were contained within one staff report regarding the tattoo parlors and the manufactured modular housing. At that meeting, the board recommended to postpone the item indefinitely and advising staff to separate the items, provide additional clarity, and take it back through the Planning Commission for consideration. So that's what we did. February 6th, Planning Commission meeting, staff presented the tattoo parlor code amendment as a separate request, and at that meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval of staff's code amendment proposal with a unanimous vote. So just a reminder, I know you guys have heard this presentation before, but I will go over it quickly. We do define tattoo parlors in our zoning ordinance. As you would imagine, it's the practice of placing designs, letters, figures, symbols, or other marks upon or under the skin of any person using ink or other substance that results in the permanent coloration of the skin. So our current code right now, tattoo parlors are not permitted within the NC, which is the Neighborhood Commercial Zoning District. We do allow them in several other districts, but not the NC. So the planning department, since I've been here for the past couple of years, we have received interest for tattoo parlors to be located within the NC zoning district. And oftentimes these are, vacant storefronts that there's no businesses there right now. So as we started to look through code, it seemed that tattoo services are very closely related to some other personal service uses, such as barbershops, beauty shops, and spas. And those are all permitted in the NC zoning district. So this is just a portion of our definition of that neighborhood commercial zoning district. But some of the things that I want to highlight is that it's intended to provide needed services and amenities that are characterized by small-scale retail and services. They may include small offices, restaurants, or other convenience-oriented retail and services. So in researching the licensing process with the state of Missouri, the staff found that it's a very tedious and tightly regulated process for licensing. Several steps are required to become a licensed tattooist or tattoo artist, different courses, practical experience and inspections and business licensing and things like that. So with these reasons, this is why staff is proposing to amend the table of permitted uses to allow tattoo parlors within the NC zoning district. So just a reminder, the results from the Planning Commission meeting on February 6th, they voted unanimously to allow tattoo parlors in the neighborhood commercial zoning district, and staff recommends approval of the proposed code amendment, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Is there anybody in the audience wishing to speak to this matter? Any members of the board? Marshall?
Personally, I'm not going to be in favor of this today. A couple of reasons, and I brought it up the last time this was discussed. I think it's a matter of not just looking at the tattoo parlors in general as a usage category, but also looking at what we want our neighborhood commercial districts to look like. A barber shop, that might be one thing. I'm seeing tattoo parlors pop up all over this community. In fact, there was one that I had just seen. I don't even know where it was. It was past Point Royale out there. There's new ones every day. So obviously, I'm a very pro-business and let the free market decide kind of person, but I also think we make decisions when it comes to zoning that are important for the shape and vision of the community going forward. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that, Marshall. Any other aldermen have comments? Nope. So hearing none, let's vote.
Mayor, sorry. So let's close the public hearing portion first. And then we need a motion and second. Just minor.
So, she keeps me on my toes. So I'm closing the public hearing.
Yes. Now motion to get it on the floor.
I thought I put it on the floor. So I have a motion approving bill number 6419.
So move.
Second.
So now we have a motion and a second. We've closed the public hearing. Once again, I'll ask anybody in the audience if they have any comments or questions before we vote. Any other comments, questions from the board? Marshall?
Jennifer, would it be really too tedious at this moment to pull up a zoning map and show where neighborhood commercial is?
I think we can do that, Chad. I did look at the map over the past couple weeks, and basically the areas that are NC zoning district are, if you can imagine, on the Branson Landing Boulevard, just north of the roundabout, there's a long strip of NC right there. Along Atlantic Street and Oklahoma Street, which is west of the Veterans Boulevard, there's some NC zoning in that location. The whole block of Pacific and College, which is on the west side of the Business 65, is all neighborhood commercial. And then we have that area on 165 Highway, the west end of town, that is zoned NC. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, do you know what color?
Yeah, it's the light pink. Yeah, that's the Branson Landing portion I was talking about, north of the roundabout. Here's that area over by Atlantic on the west side of Veterans Boulevard. And if you keep going down, Chad, this is that block for, what was it, Pacific and College, I believe. And then here's another whole area of NC. So that's kind of the areas on the east side. And then there's some pockets here and there, but then the more majority of it is on the west side of town on 165.
So just one, just a final comment. So, like for instance, those on Landing Street there, or College Street, so they're quaint little shops, flower shops, things like that. And so that's just kind of where my head's at on this, as far as the kind of decisions that we make as far as zoning and what we're going to look like as a community. The quaint little shops that can kind of blend in perfectly with neighborhood commercial would be probably a little bit more towards what I would be looking at as far as that is concerned. So.
I'm going to be on the opposite end here of Marshall. As a veteran who's heavily tattooed, I don't think they bring anything down in the areas that they're in, and I think we just let the market dictate it and we pass it.
And I'm somewhat influenced by the fact that it went through a full planning and zoning commission and they approved it unanimously, right? So they get
They
into a
did.
lot of the weeds with this. Any other questions, comments before we vote? Ralph?
As a veteran that's not tattooed at all, I'm actually for it. You know, the free market, I think, is exactly what this is kind of leaning toward. And, you know, it's artistry at its best, you know, and for people to make those commitments. I mean, I've been in tattoo shops. I have a lot of clients that come into my office that are tattoo artists, and, you know, they're really good people, and they do great business, and they love this community as much as I do. Interesting fact, they actually tip me in my office, and they pay my front desk fee, which is kind of interesting. But I kind of look at it, it's like that's how they operate. They do a piece of art on someone, and then they're tipped on top of that. And I just thought it was I just had this discussion in my office just yesterday, that tattoo artists actually tip me when they come in and get adjusted. And I thought that was pretty fascinating. So I'm going to be in favor of this for sure. I just thought it was great.
Any other?
So he can be bribed. Is that what that's?
That's what I heard.
That's what I heard. I mean, I don't
If they're
want to,
big tippers.
I don't know if that's legal.
you get my vote.
I'm just into piercing, so I'm dead.
We ready to vote?
Can I, Mr. Can I ask, Jennifer, the logic of it's similar to a use type of a barbershop that you presented here, could we think that out? Is that the full extent of where we would go? Could we use this and say, okay, well then a tattoo parlor is similar to X, so then we should allow X in neighborhood commercial? I mean, how far does that go? Would it apply to as far as if you were getting, in other words, you mentioned that there was interest in adding something there. So if there was interest in adding something similar, could you use that same logic and say, well, we have tattoo parlors in neighborhood commercial, that's a similar to use to what someone else is asking to do?
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of a combination that we've had a lot of inquiries on them locating in these locations, which are in the NC zoning district. And, you know, like a beauty shop, they can maybe have permanent eye makeup or things like that. So it's not just the regular tattoos that you think of. And when I drive around at night home from work, these places are busy, you know, they're busy.
Jennifer, and to your point, a lot of beauty salons are offering like the permanent makeup stuff, and it's very complimentary. And so, in order for them to be in compliance, I think that, you know, it would justify that for sure.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Ayes have it.
Your Honor, the next item is the public hearing and first reading of Bill Number 6420, an ordinance amending Chapter 94-60 of the Branson Municipal Code pertaining to the table of permitted uses and manufactured and modular housing.
I'm opening up another public hearing, and we'll get a staff report from Jennifer.
Okay, thank you. So this one's similar to the last one where it was in front of you guys on January 9th. Same situation. We wanted to take it back to Planning Commission, separate it out, provide some clarity, those sorts of things, and so we did that as well. It went to the February 6th Planning Commission as a separate request, and at that meeting, Planning Commission voted to amend staff's recommendation as it relates to manufactured housing, and I can provide more detail in just a minute on that, but the amended proposal was recommended for approval with a unanimous vote. So just a little bit of background. This, again, came to us by, you know, the city's staff fielding phone calls from citizens that were interested in constructing manufactured housing within the city. When we look at our table of uses, you know, it says it's just permitted by right. So right now, our current code for manufactured housing, it is permitted by right in the Ag, LDR, MDR, and HDR zoning districts. But they do, it comes with a significant list of conditions that they're required to meet to be in compliance. So our current code on modular housing requires a special use permit in the Ag, LDR, MDR, and HDR zoning districts, but does not have conditions tied to the use. So staff saw that and just seemed like maybe it was a little bit in reverse or kind of out of whack, and that's why we're here tonight. This slide shows all those 16 provisions that if you were to have a manufactured home, you have to be in compliance with all these provisions. I won't go through all of them, but the ones that are highlighted, if you were to propose a manufactured home, the roof must be a gable, hip, or shed. So it goes to, talks to the pitch of the roof. It goes into the materials of the roof, that it has to be, similar to other residential type homes or compatible. That has to be on a permanent foundation. They have to have the tongue and the running gear, including the axles, removed. And then it has to have permanent steps set at all exits. We do define manufactured structures. Just a little excerpt of it is, it's a portable structure, a vehicle, a trailer, a mobile home. It's vehicular in design, which may be drawn, towed, or transported from one location to another. And here's an image of a manufactured structure. This is an image of a modular home, which means a factory fabricated transportable building designed to be used or to be incorporated with similar units at the building site. So some additional background information that staff had looked into was there's some milestones with the housing legislation, dating back to 1974. So the National Mobile Home Construction and Safety Act was approved in 1974. And what this did was it created construction code standards for manufactured homes, which changed building codes, and this is what's considered the HUD Title VI construction standards. The Housing Act of 1980 mandated the term manufactured be used in place of mobile. And this was referencing manufactured homes built after 1976. I've got a table here that kind of compares and contrasts the difference between modular housing and manufactured housing. So we'll start with the modular. Modular homes conforms to the IBC, the IRC standards, which is the International Building Code, International Residential Code. It's a true stick-built structure. They're on permanent foundations. They typically have higher roof pitch. There's no title. It's a real property. It's real estate. And they're built off-site, delivered in sections. So in contrast, the manufactured or mobile home, it conforms to the HUD Title VI standards, which is an appendix to the IRC. It has a steel beam, a chassis, an axle. It's mobile. There's no permanent foundation unless you're converting it to real property. Typically lower roof pitch, and it has a title considered personal property unless it's getting converted to real property. It's built off-site, delivered in panels. So staff's original proposal for this code amendment was to reverse the permissions for these uses by designating modular housing as a permitted use within Ag, LDR, MDR, and HDR, and requesting a special use permit for manufactured housing in the Ag, LDR, MDR, and HDR. So during that February 6th Planning Commission meeting, they voted to amend staff's recommendation by amending the resolution to prohibit manufactured homes in LDR, MDR, and HDR zoning districts and requiring a special use permit for manufactured homes within the Ag zoning district. And then for the modular housing, we had agreed that, or they recommended to approve that as a permitted use within the Ag, LDR, MDR, and HDR zoning districts. So that was the recommendation from Planning Commission, and with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Any questions, comments from the audience? Question? Yes. I'm sorry, if you would come up to the mic.
What does special use permit mean?
It's a permit process, application process that has to go to Planning Commission for approval. So they would get on our Citizen Serve online portal and then apply for that. And then that gets scheduled for a public hearing at Planning Commission.
What would that be based on? You know, when would they be allowed or prohibited? You know what?
Yeah, so right now, the code allows manufactured housing permitted by right, but they have to meet that list of 16 conditions. So, yes, yeah.
Any other questions from the audience?
I have the privilege of serving on your zoning commission, and I just want to give you a rationale for restricting the manufactured housing to agricultural. I had a tough time reconciling manufactured housing with mobile, being a mobile home. But basically what we're saying, we say manufactured housing, we're saying mobile home. And what we didn't want to have happen was to have somebody have a house and have a mobile home put in right next to them. We have mobile home communities that take care of that, and we've addressed it in the agricultural zoning, and that was our rationale. That was our rationale for that. My understanding, we have two basic types of housing: mobile homes and modular. Modular includes that stuff coming in a truck. It could include a home that is manufactured in a plant and bought in parts and assembled, and it can include a stick built. I mean, there's just two basic types. And what we want to do is try to keep our residential areas free from mobile homes, and that was our rationale. Any questions? Or?
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, that makes sense, Gary. Thank you. Any other questions from the audience? Any questions, comments from the board? Marshall?
Mr. Mayor, is there any reason why, Jennifer, you might be able to answer this? You know, I guess my only confusion is, why wouldn't we use the term mobile home? It seems like using the term manufactured home is where some of the confusion comes in. And we have, it's not that mobile home is not listed in, you know, the language of the code here. I mean, would it be much more clarifying if we just use the term mobile home and what we're trying to accomplish?
Yeah. Jennifer, I think on a slide or two back,
It's included in the definition of
somebody changed the
manufactured.
definition. Can you?
Mr. Mayor, I think that was an industry thing. They had gotten away from using mobile homes to manufactured homes.
Yeah,
As
no,
a-
I'm with
and
you.
that's what
If we use the
yeah.
word mobile home, I think we'd all be more clear. But I think you gave a great definition describing the difference between manufactured and modular.
Is there any, would there be any case where we'd run into in the future where like a modular home would fall into the manufactured and we're shooting ourselves in the foot on something like this just because of our language?
Well, I think it comes down to the building code. I mean, if we get a set of plans in and they're engineered, you know, meeting IBC, IRC standards, then it's not manufactured.
Yeah. Ruth?
I sit on Planning and Zoning Commission. Also, thank you, Chairperson Groman. The discussion was great. A lot got clarified. And it does, as Jennifer said, the modular would have to meet, just like a stick-built home would have to meet all the requirements that the city of Branson has adopted. And we do have existing mobile home parks. However, when all the zoning took place, the entire city zoned at the same time, it put them in a place where they're now legal non-conforming. So to allow it in the ag zone for someone that just really wants to locate a living quarter on their property does not keep someone from doing that, but it also protects the property rights of the others.
Yeah, and Jennifer, I appreciate you going through the effort to clarify the code, so everybody's clear with what we want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor? I have to close the public hearing. And then I have to ask to have this Bill 6420, a motion approving the bill.
So moved.
Second.
We have motion and a second. I have to ask the audience, any more questions? I'll ask the alderman again. Any more questions?
No, sir.
Hearing none, now let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Oh, brother. And they give me a script and I still don't do it.
Your Honor, the next item is a resolution approving a special event permit application for the 57th Plum Nelly Days Arts, Crafts, and Music Festival.
Do I have motion adopting this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
We have motion and second. Staff report from Amanda. Hello, Amanda.
Hello. Can I get you to hook me up here? Good evening, Mayor, Board of Aldermen, City Administrator. Thank you for your time tonight. Let me get maybe. We have received a request from Jessica Luthart on behalf of the Downtown Branson Betterment Association for a special event, the 57th Annual Plum Nelly Days. Proposed dates are Wednesday, April 17th through Sunday, April 21st, set up to begin Tuesday night on April 16th at 9 p.m., and event breakdown to be completed by April 22nd. The vicinity map offers a clear aerial view of the proposed event location. This proposed event has been classified per city code as a level 3 event, as the request includes attendance throughout the event is estimated to be above 5,000 people and will occur over multiple and consecutive days. Temporary street closures associated with this event would be Albury parking lot, Commercial Street between the alley north of West Main to Atlantic Street, and Commercial Street north of Atlantic Street to the drive-through area of Regions Bank. In closing, the 57th Plum Nelly Days event holds promise for Branson's historic downtown area. The influx of approximately 5,000 attendees will generate substantial foot traffic, providing a boost to local businesses, encourage community engagement, attract visitors, and showcase the spirit of downtown. The surge in visitors presents prime opportunity for downtown establishments to showcase their offerings, increase sales, and foster connections with residents and tourists. Staff recommends approval of this special event. Jessica from DBBA is here tonight, and she's prepared to speak and answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Amanda. Are there any questions from anybody in the audience? Sure, come on up.
Steve Hartley, 7825 Cozy Cove. Mayor, members of the board, first of all, I want to let you know we are totally for events in downtown Branson. I've got a prepared statement I'd like to read, please. When our downtown streetscape was in the planning process over 10 years ago, Liberty Plaza was envisioned as the place to hold downtown events. It would be a much more central location for events and would drive event traffic to the south end of downtown. With the way events are now, precious parking and ingress-regress is lost for most of 2 weeks a year on the Albury lot and North Commercial Street. It also prevents the natural flow of traffic at the busiest intersection in downtown. Please consider and allow Liberty Plaza to be the place for downtown events. It will take event traffic to the south end of downtown, and the disruption of traffic flow will be much less intrusive to all of downtown. Thank you.
Steve, those are good points. Have you discussed any of this with DBBA, having this at a different
We've had
location?
discussions over the years, yes, sir.
And there just hasn't been a meeting of the minds? Okay.
We're wanting to have it on Albury right now. That's what staff's recommending,
Okay.
and so, no, there has not.
Let me ask Cody. They're in Cody's ward. Cody?
Well, Mayor, I brought this up last fall. I brought it up several times, and it's not just Steve. I've heard from others that, I think universally everybody likes the events. And I want to clarify something too, because I saw an email recently that said that certain folks downtown don't like parades. That's not the case. That's never been any feedback I've received or anything I've ever heard. And so it's these events, right? It's these multi-day events. The parking is, as we all know, is not great downtown already. For the 3 years I've been on the board, that's been a constant discussion. We talked about putting in, I hesitate to even say the word, but the parking meters to try to raise money to build a parking garage, right? Like,
Are you suggesting that?
No, we're not doing that, Steve. You hear me? We're not doing that. But I think the frustration has been, 57th annual. That's a big deal, and nobody wants it to go away. But there's got to be a way, perhaps, that's less disruptive, because when you talk about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever, it's a lot of days for that parking lot to just be of no use. And not only that parking lot, but along Commercial, and that's a big chunk. I don't know what the statistics on that is, but that's a big chunk of the downtown parking that's just gone for several days, and it's bringing in, this business. And what I'm hearing from folks, and it's not just Steve and Melissa who showed up tonight, it's taking business away from them, right? It's not just taking their parking, it's taking business away, and they're having some of their worst days during these events. So that's the challenge here, right? Is how do you respect and honor the event that's been downtown, that is part of that tradition, but I think it's grown and maybe evolved to where it's also becoming disruptive, and I'm just hearing it, and I'm sure others are as well. Every time this is happening, can we find a different way to do it?
Sure. Clay?
So I think what I hear Steve saying is, how do we not disrupt the businesses during this time and still celebrate the parade at the same time? And I think he has a suggestion for that, and I get it, Steve, if they closed down the Clay Cooper Theater parking lot for a week, I'd be like, could we park them somewhere else so I can continue doing business? And so I get it. I don't know what the answer is, but.
Mayor, could I interject real quick?
Sure.
Steve, did you, and I know we're not supposed to do back and forth with public comment, so forgive me. Did you get the email that I sent to you and your wife? I think maybe it was yesterday. I was responding to the group email that you sent. And I just wanted to make sure everybody hears that I would be delighted to host you and other affected business owners, the DBBA with your group. But this is a huge conversation that affects a lot of people. And we've already put a lot of money into infrastructure, like electrical hookups where these events are happening now. To change it isn't just like, okay, let's just have it across the street. There's a lot more that goes into it. But we could hash all those things through in a group setting, and I'd be delighted to host that and help round up people to be able to participate in that conversation. But it's a bigger conversation than just tonight probably, and I hope you let Jessica give a chance to represent her organization as well too.
No, absolutely.
But I'm in.
Are you aware that if we did a different location, especially with this being 45 days, that there's more involved with electric and all that?
And maybe not for Plum Nelly, but for Autumn Days.
Okay. So let's, if you don't mind, let me hear from Jessica. Jessica's the head of our DBBA. Don't get comfortable, Steve. You may be back up.
Thank you so much for letting me respond
Speak
to
into
that.
the mic, please.
Oh. Is that better?
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me respond to that. There's a couple of things that I would like to respond on that. And that is, number one, when the streetscape was done, as the city is probably well aware of, and so is our downtown and our streetscape committee, which Steve was part of, there were a lot of things that were supposed to be put in place so that we could move festivals down to that end, including electrical that was going to be placed along Commercial Street underneath the ground before it was laid back down. And also there was a lot more structure that was going to be put around Liberty Plaza in order to be able to do events there. But however, with budget cuts and other things that happened with that project, they were not able to be done. So there is no infrastructure there to be able to house such an event as Plum Nelly or Autumn Days Festival. There's just no room for the amount of vendors that we get in, and there's no electrical or water needs for doing that kind of setup. At the most, Cindy Shook from the Parks Department and I went through, and the most of the vendors that you could get in that area in Liberty Plaza are about 27 vendors. And we get over 100 vendors to our events. And as far as the actual use of the closing off of streets, we work very hard to only close down what we need to at what time we need to. The Citizen Serve portal that we get, we're putting on there some information so that we can take the time to process and get things into place for closure, but we never close down what we don't need ahead of time. So when we talk about the parking lot being closed, it's not closed for a week. It's only closed for a couple of days, 1 day for the vendors to load in and the 2 days of the event. So otherwise we keep it, as open as possible. And for, of course, tearing down and putting up of the tents for Autumn Days in the fall. So we work very hard to try and make sure that we're minimizing that. And the people do come every year. They come to the festivals. They bring a lot of revenue to our downtown businesses. Even Mr. Hartley has said to me in the past that he's looked at receipts for his business and that he's made a profit. He's increased during the events, especially during Autumn Days. So businesses do get a revenue increase off of the events and off of bringing the people into the downtown area, besides whatever it does for our community, for the hotel rooms that are being used, the restaurants that are being used, our restaurants in downtown, especially for last year, Autumn Days, which was our 50th Autumn Days, we had an increase in revenue in some of our restaurants there, so that I talked to. So I think that I would love the opportunity to discuss those further and to say that the festivals are a good economic impact to downtown. We have the landing. When we brought the landing in, nobody complains when they have to park all the way over to the bridge. We have parking in the downtown. Yes, it's not the most convenient for some people. I walk with aids. I'm disabled. So I know that that can be frustrating sometimes, but people do come to big events where they have to walk a little bit, or they have to ride, they have to get a scooter or a walker. So I don't think that having the festivals, I think it brings people in. I've heard from my downtown businesses that it does bring people to the downtown community. And I think that it's a good thing for our community to have those. And a lot of our businesses like to have the festivals. They get jealous, if you will, if, the landing's doing something, or, or Shepherd of the Hills is doing something. Like, why can't we have, nice events that we draw people to the downtown? And I have lots of people that call me and tell me that they're coming just for our events. I have Miss Marie Haygood, sorry for using your name, Miss Marie, but she has a busload of people coming in April, and she wanted to know, they're asking me, Jessica, when is Plum Nelly Days? Because they want to make sure that they book us and come during that time. So it really does. That's just one example, but it really does bring an economic impact to the historic downtown.
Excuse me, Jessica, I don't think anybody's questioning the value, or the desire to have it. I don't think one person's raising that question. I think the question that we're hearing is this the best location for it? And is there possibly a better location downtown to have these events?
I wish that there was. The city put a lot of money into building the infrastructure for our events in and around Commercial Street, around Albury parking lot. They put in special water meters for larger hookups for electricity with 50 and 30 amp connections. So a lot of what they did in that last phase, that third phase of Streetscape, was to make it something that was for events down in that part of town. And we don't have a lot of square footage in the historic downtown to have a big event. We've tried other places, and we've had other smaller events in Liberty Plaza. We like to make use of Liberty Plaza, and we've had concerts and things, but those are more appropriate size events for Liberty Plaza.
So if Kathy would just get phases 4 and 5 done in downtown before Autumn Days.
Well, we'd still have to go back and unearth what you did in phases 1 and 2 in order to get to move that somewhere else.
Okay, we're not going to resolve this tonight. I do believe that, Steve, would you come up?
Yeah.
And I think you've already acknowledged, I don't think there's any choice for this particular event, right?
Yes, sir.
But what you're raising is, you've brought it up before, you brought it up a couple of years now, Cody's bringing it up. So is there something we can do to address Autumn Days?
Well, I'm all for Administrator Stepp's idea of bringing us all together
Yes.
and getting some of the ones that Alderman Fenton has mentioned tonight that couldn't be here, and let us talk about this.
Yes.
And
So what I'd like to do is follow Kathy's lead, right?
yes,
And with your support.
yes, sir.
And Kathy, you'll organize that, and because obviously there's different issues we're trying to satisfy here. I didn't hear you by chance say, yes, you'll have 4 and 5 done before.
No, you did not hear that. That's correct.
It makes me feel better.
Just for the record. Hey, what happened to the speed of business? Okay, so I appreciate you coming up, for sure. Chuck, did you have it's in your ward, any input on that? What's going on?
I'm hearing the same thing Cody's hearing, so.
Okay.
It'd be great to find another venue
Yeah.
if we could.
So let's include the ward aldermen in those meetings.
Mayor, I think there's a happy medium that can be
Sure,
met here.
Sure.
Give and take a little bit. I think it's a happy medium, and we would love to meet and talk more about it, Administrator.
Let's make that happen.
Can I just ask him, again, I've heard you say you're not against the festivals and having these.
Or parades.
Or parades or any of this. But because of the locations of these, does it affect your business in a negative way?
Losing the traffic is the worst thing that could happen to our
So
business.
financially, it does affect your,
Losing traffic is the worst thing that could happen.
so if there's no traffic, then the money yeah, okay. I mean, you can be on, I need to know all the facts I can, so I, know how to.
Just losing the parking is very, very hard to overcome.
Kathy, would you invite Clay also? He has some input. Steve, thank you very much. Jessica, thank you very much. But this one, we're going to this one we're up to vote to approve, right?
That is correct, sir.
Yeah, that's my question. Also, Amanda, this seems pretty timely, right? So in other words, if we don't approve a special use permit tonight, based on these parameters, are they going to be able to have Plum Nelly Days?
More than likely, they will have to reschedule that.
Yeah,
So
and
there's not time to.
Yeah. So it's not optional.
And I'm not, because there's been a lot going on in the city, but it's kind of why this was brought up in the fall. And I think my specific comment was, we've got time before one of these events is coming up again.
Yeah.
And, and here we are. So I do think this conversation needs to happen, but it needs to happen perhaps sooner rather than later, because one of these events is going to be right around the corner yet again. Because they seem to fall every 6 months or so.
Kathy?
I don't want anybody to think that we weren't investigating this, because we have been for the last several months internally. But as you heard, just a smattering of, the biggest challenge we're going to have is the infrastructure. And so I don't know how feasible it's going to be, just to set realistic expectations, to think that we'd be able to get anything like all the electrical or water lines, et cetera, that would be necessary to host an event of this size at a different site, to do that in 6 months. I don't want anybody to think that can happen.
Yeah.
And usually I'm a, hey, how do we get it done person? But we have to be real. And I just want to be very transparent with everybody involved. But it doesn't mean we sure won't try. And we can even look at what would be the cost to invest in that infrastructure, and then bring that up to the board and they can decide. So I look forward to you guys helping us through that. So thank you.
Will this event fit inside the convention center?
I think one of the challenges you'll be up against is the food trucks, the vendors.
And
Could
part-
probably fit, but the food trucks and all of the electricity.
Yeah, and I think part of the intent of having these festivals is to increase the business downtown, bring people downtown.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
I'm Melissa Hartley. I'm Steve's sister, not his wife. And I did receive your email today, and I guess we were surprised to just see this all of a sudden, because we've heard nothing about it. And I know that we've talked to Cody, and I believe Cody has obviously mentioned things. So we had no idea there were meetings being held or there were any kind of conversations happening. It just seems like it was appearing, or we would have shown up for that kind of thing.
No, I didn't want you to think we'd had external meetings. I was talking about internal conversations with utilities and public works and planning department, police department, fire department, streets. All those guys are involved in this conversation. So I just meant I'd been having conversations with our internal team. So you weren't excluded from anything.
Okay.
Just so
Well,
you
we
know.
are very open. We're very busy, but we will make time to get there. I grew up here. I remember these days. It was a lot of fun when I was a kid. And in no way do we want this to stop. We just want to be considered in the process.
Yep.
And I don't know that Steve has ever said business has increased because of Plum Nelly Days or a crafts fair. I don't think that's the case. Thank you.
So Kathy, next couple weeks, you'll set something up for everybody? Okay. Come on up. Here comes some words of wisdom. Here comes words of wisdom.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jerry Buckley. This is what I used to do for a living for a rocket site. People said, we want to do something. Well, we don't have any real estate. Well, yes, we do. Well, no, we don't. Well, I just want to throw something at you to consider. There's a empty lot down there past Momo's restaurant. It was the Morris property. I've been eyeing that since I moved here 10 years ago. Wouldn't that be a great parking lot if you guys can get it? And if you can't get it, eminent domain it. But if you eminent domain it, it's a tank farm, so it's got some environmental studies that have to go with it. But it looks like it might be the answer to your problem. I went to all the meetings with the engineers when they built downtown, and I said, you know, the buses need so many feet to make the corners, and they ignored it. And we, as you know, we went back and rebuilt every single one of them. So things below your eyes, Kathy can go set a committee together, and, you know, maybe the Morris family would consider that. But I've worked with Jessica for probably 6-7 years with Plum Nelly and Autumn Days. I volunteer at the museum downtown. And so I've been around, done that. Just wanted to let you think about the Morris property. Maybe that's you know, maybe it is polluted. Maybe we pave over it, and it's a great central location. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that at you.
Jerry, thank you as always. So are we good? I think we have, let's vote on this, right? So all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Jerry.
Your Honor, the next item is a resolution declaring a need to address developments proposing multifamily housing in the entertainment district and thus a 90-day administrative delay of applications and permits pertaining to the development of multifamily housing in the entertainment district located in the city of Branson, Missouri.
All right.
Do I have a motion adopting this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
We have, I could have read, it says, do I have a second? We have motion and a second. We'll go to staff report from Amanda.
This evening, we will conduct a thorough examination of the materials covered in our recent study session about hotel-motel conversions in the entertainment district. If you attended the study session or had the opportunity to view it, you'll find this presentation familiar in format. Some content will be repetitive, including details from the study session. Furthermore, we will delve into the reasoning behind the moratorium resolution. Why the sudden interest in conversions? The recent lodging safety initiative is prompting inquiries into the converting of hotel motels into multifamily dwellings. Extended stay hotel motel operating without a license and facing code violations are showing a surge in conversion interest. A few reasons owners and developers are showing such an interest in converting failing hotel motels into multifamily dwellings are that there's no annual lodging establishment inspections, no lodging permits, no county health inspection, no state inspection, no lodging license with the state, and no lodging tax. The Planning and Development Department has identified criteria that must be met in current code to allow for a successful conversion. The existing structure must be within a zoning district that permits multifamily developments, and the existing structure must meet current density requirements. Existing code does not provide dimensional standards for the entertainment district. Every other district allowing for multifamily provides dimensional standards, including density requirements. Branson currently has dimensional standards in 5 districts: high-density residential, neighborhood commercial, mixed-use district, community commercial, and the downtown district. That is 12 to 24 dwelling units per acre. The purpose of the entertainment district is outlined in section 9445 of our code. Multifamily conversion does not seem to align with the purpose of the entertainment district. A comprehensive housing study for Taney County was updated in 2023. This next slide showcases community insights revealing a notable concentration of responses from the northern part of Taney County with minimal input from the southern portion of Taney County. The updated housing study revealed strong support for stricter enforcement of property maintenance codes, with 82% strongly in favor. Additionally, 75% of respondents supported using public funds to address the removal of dilapidated housing. Conducting a more in-depth study specifically tailored to the unique characteristics of Branson could provide valuable insights. Focusing on the specific needs of dynamics of a tourist town like Branson would likely yield different findings compared to a border county-wide study. This targeted approach could help identify opportunities and challenges specific to Branson's housing situation. This map is a visual representation that highlights the entertainment district in purple, community commercial area in red, and the brown is high-density residential. Additionally, the orange dots represent current lodging establishments along the 76 corridor, excluding those without a business license or those not in operation. Obtaining numbers of how many establishments operating without a license or those not in operation will take a little more time and a possible field study to get an accurate number. Next, we have some examples of existing businesses that meet density requirements and some that do not meet density requirements, and how it impacts our city resources. The first example meets density requirements. This property is located southwest of West 76 Country Boulevard. It is zoned high-density residential. The allowed density is 12 to 24 dwelling units per acre. This property here has 15 dwelling units per acre. If you'll note the 2023 police reports at the bottom of this slide. An example of a property that exceeds density requirements. There's a significant difference in city resources being utilized at this property. In summary, there's a notable contrast in the utilization of city resources between businesses that comply with density requirements and those that do not, distinctly evident in police calls. This observation underscores the importance of considering density regulations in planning and resource allocation. Staff is proposing clarification to the Branson Municipal Code to offer additional protections in the entertainment district. These clarifications may include, or are not limited to, building types by zone district, entertainment dimensional standards, entertainment district, and the table of permitted uses. If this resolution for a 90-day moratorium is approved tonight, the amendment to the code concerning density and conversions in the entertainment district could be resolved by May 27, 2024. Staff recommends support of a moratorium to protect the integrity of the entertainment district while additional research and stakeholder discussions can take place. Thank you for your time. I have a few members of my team here tonight, and we are happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Jennifer. Amanda? It wasn't. It didn't. Are there any questions, comments from the audience? Jessica? Gary?
Good evening, Bobby Whiting. What are you going to do with empty hotels if you don't convert them? Are you going to tear them down? Because that costs a lot of money too. I just don't know.
Yeah, we're looking for some time to make some decisions of what's best to do. Gary?
This whole situation wouldn't really be necessary if the people that had the property maintained them the way they should be and took the appropriate action to provide for health and safety. We are not dealing with the regular type business person that we normally deal with here. We're dealing with people that are trying to get around the regulations for whatever reason. I would recommend you put this moratorium in effect and give the staff a chance to develop a cohesive, comprehensive approach that will solve the problem once and for all. If we don't, then what will happen is these people will be coming in and we'll be dealing with this for the next, Lord only knows. I'll probably be in the old folks home before you get it resolved.
So, Gary, it's not in here, but would you recommend to the board to consider a double read on this tonight?
If you have to have a double reading, I most certainly would.
Just a resolution.
You don't have to have it, do you?
Oh, this is a resolution.
Yeah. So when you pass it, that would curtail any action and give us time to come up with a plan.
Thank you, Gary.
But yeah, I would.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments from the audience? Questions, comments from the board? Marshall?
Amanda, so just for clarification one more time. So the entertainment district currently doesn't have those restrictions of density, right?
Correct.
Okay, so any property, if we did put one in, any property would be grandfathered in that already exceeds that, is that correct?
If that application is in our system currently in Citizen Serve.
Any other questions? Ruth?
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. I agree with Chairperson Groman on this. I agree with the 90-day moratorium. I don't think, some people I don't think are aware of what the cost is to make this change. And if they're not currently meeting the requirements just to meet code, the cost is it's almost cost prohibitive to change some of these buildings over. So thank you for all you're doing.
I'm just excited to see us take action on this.
Me too.
I'm very happy to see that.
Anybody else? So, Chuck, was it you that reminded me this is a resolution? Bless your heart. This is a resolution, so it only requires one vote. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Your Honor, the next item is a resolution authorizing the police department to apply for a Missouri Department of Transportation grant to fund driving while intoxicated traffic enforcement within the city of Branson, Missouri.
A motion adopting this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Staff report from Chief Schmidt. Oh, Chief.
Hello, Mayor and members of the board, thank you.
Any chance you got to hear some of the compliments earlier about your team?
I did, and I will be reimbursing Gary later, so. I do appreciate that, and that is exactly what we're working for. And actually, that's what this and the next item are for, so that we can have more positive interactions with our community. This is the annual grants that come out. This one, I believe, is for, give me just a sec to pull it back up here. This should be the one for DWIs, and basically so that we can have the overtime to put extra officers out on our higher likelihood times for driving while ability impaired or driving while impaired, and hopefully get those dangerous drivers off the road. Specifically, you'll see us boost our number of officers out during St. Patty's Day, New Year's Eve, and the more common times, as well as the weekends and so forth when we're more likely to have impaired drivers out. So staff does recommend approval of this.
And this is a grant?
It is a grant, so it's basically reimbursing us for the overtime for our officers. So we're not depleting from the street force, we're bringing extra officers in with the overtime.
Excellent. Any questions, comments from the audience? Questions, comments from the board? Marshall?
Chief, is this above and beyond the funding that we've had in the past, or about the same?
I believe this is about the same. This and the next one are consistent with what we've had in the past.
Sure.
And the reason we're able to maintain that is because we are able to produce results.
Great deal. And are we at and you've probably seen it and you've saw it where you came from, Chief, but like the enforcement in the past couple years as far as like the driving under the influence of marijuana, for example. I don't know that we have more of those instances now, but you might expect that we might, right? So, I mean, is that something that you guys really need, something like this for the enforcement of that, seeming that we might have more of those incidents?
Yeah, unfortunately, you guys have heard me talk about before. On having done most of my career in Colorado, I can absolutely guarantee that we're going to have an increase in driving under the influence of marijuana. One of the myths out there is that marijuana does not affect you as much as alcohol, and with the increase in the THC and all the strains that have happened since legalization, that's an absolute falsehood, and we are seeing just as bad of an effect on somebody that's had marijuana as if they had alcohol.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, the next item is a resolution authorizing the police department to apply for the Missouri Department of Transportation Highway Safety Program grant to fund hazardous moving violation enforcement within the city of Branson, Missouri.
To have a motion adopting this resolution. Second. Motion is second. What say ye, Chief?
Your Honor, members of the board, same grant cycle, same department. This one, though, instead of targeting just driving while under the influence, this one is for hazardous driving. So this actually helps us, it's a little more, it helps us fund extra radar or laser speed detection devices and helps us focus on our more hazardous driving locations. I'll give you one quick example. I received a communication from a resident that was concerned about speeding down on Branson Landing Boulevard, and that is one of the areas that we do target one of these extra officers that we put out, just because we know there's certain areas that we have a higher speeds and pedestrians, and we want to make sure we prevent any other tragedies. So we certainly recommend approval of this one as well.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the audience? Questions, comments from the board? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill Number 6421, an ordinance amending Section 54-137 of the Branson Municipal Code pertaining to background checks for security permit holders.
You've heard the first reading of Bill Number 6421. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
Second.
Motion is second. Chief Schmidt, you're up.
Your Honor, members of the board, you guys will think that this one sounds very familiar, and it is. It's because you just passed it last month. And unfortunately, the state has not gone through some of the same red tape reduction methods that the city has. And so they wanted us to change the language on this merely for how the language deals with the submission of the fingerprints so that we can verify people getting guard licenses don't have felonies or other things that we would not want somebody doing security work. And so we recommend passage of this so we can get it in place and start getting these fingerprints going.
Any questions, comments from the audience? Question, comments from the board? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
And go ahead.
You want a double read, don't you, Chief?
You know, you read my mind.
I thought you was going to say that. Your Honor, I move to read Bill Number 6421 in its final reading to get the ball rolling. How's that sound?
I think there's official definition on that. We have motion and a second. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak to this? Any members of, any aldermen? When we vote, we're voting to approve to have a second read. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, would you please provide the introduction for this item?
Your Honor, this is the final reading of Bill Number 6421, an ordinance amending Section 54-137 of the Branson Municipal Code pertaining to background checks for security permit holders.
You've heard the final reading of Bill Number 6421. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak to this? Any alderman? We're now voting on the second and final read. In doing so, Madam Clerk, would you provide a roll call vote, please?
LeBlanc?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Howden?
Yes.
Cooper?
Yes.
Denham? Yes. Fenton?
Yes.
The result of the vote is 6-0, motion carries.
Thank you.
We're in the, thanks, Chief. In the report section of the meeting, what say ye, Alderman LeBlanc?
Just a little add to the special use permit tonight with the Plum Nelly days and fall days. And, you know, I could certainly empathize with the plight of the business owners that kind of were represented tonight, but it almost seems like Plum Nelly days is like the kickoff of the season, and there's something festive about festival air. You know, it's like, it just makes you feel different. You know, I'm from South Louisiana, and like there was like a festival, like the Strawberry Festival, the Orange Festival, the Peach Festival. It's like every weekend, and it was like you really ramped up for it. And then, you know, at the end of the season, it's like the kickoff to Christmas. You know, Ozark Mountain Christmas, and you know, I could see where another location, but I almost think that festival needs to be bigger. Like it needs to encompass more of those businesses, like, you know, more overflow or something like that would be just more inviting, because 26 years of being here, my office used to overlook Plum Nelly days, and you know, I had to work, and I'd look down there and just see everybody interacting and just having a great time, and I could smell the food and the cotton candy and everything, and I was like, man, I'd love to have today off and go down there. But I don't know, there's just something exciting about festival air, and you know, it'd just be a shame to see it leave downtown. I don't know. It's not my ward, but I certainly understand, you know, some of the plight there. But man, if there was any way to kind of get more overflow in some of those, because I can only imagine you look out the back door and go like, man, all those people should be in my shop. But the reality is like, well, let's close off, you know, more streets and let them walk the streets. I mean, that's what we do for Mardi Gras in Louisiana. I mean, that's like 2 weeks of festivals every day, and nobody complains. I mean, everybody's having a good time. I don't know. Somebody's not having too much fun, but I think they should. That's all I got.
Chuck, what do you got? Marshall?
Hey, Kendall, could I bug you for a second, buddy? Forgive me. It may be a naive question. But in speaking to what Ms. Chrisman was talking about tonight, I see it all over social media, people's water bills, things skyrocketing. Is it the winter? Is that the answer to it? I mean, is there any other answer that I could give if a citizen reaches out to me, because it has happened in the past few months or so?
Kendall, can I interject, please? Marshall, this would be more on the finance side of things, frankly. And so my suggestion is, if any of you have constituents that call, send them my way. And we will ferret out whatever, if there was a mistake made, or in fact, we recently had a situation where some citizens, their bank pay, they auto pay out of their bank, not a direct draw, but just like a paper check comes to us from their bank automatically. And a bunch of them came late, and people were assessed late fees of, I don't know, $1 or whatever, but you know, people get upset about that. And they're like, I pay it my bank pays it, it paid you. Well, the banks, they had some kind of a glitch or a late thing. I don't know what the problem was. So we heard, we researched, and we went back and we corrected those bills, and we're going to credit people back, even though it's not our fault, but it's not their fault. It's just a glitch in the matrix. And so we have to be flexible and empathetic, and we're going to continue to be that way. But there's no way Kendall's going to be able to answer for you, what's the one thing that happened, or what's the, you know what I mean? Every case is different, and sometimes, all the time, it's really important to get both sides of the story. So that's why I'm interrupting you, Kendall.
You know, I appreciate that. And just to add to that a little bit, we do have a leak adjustment process. It's in code that does provide some flexibility for us to share in that loss with that water or that customer experienced. And so there's parameters in the code that keeps consistency, as well as for adjusting bills to be fair across the board if it has to do with a water leak of some sort. Some people's bills will increase 1 month and then go back to normal the next month, and can't figure out why. And the number one cause that our staff has found is usually a toilet flapper, so to speak, without getting into the weeds, but it may start leaking for a while and then fix itself. And that could cause an uptick in their billing, and they may not realize that. But there's many things out there that we experience. One size doesn't fit them all. We just have to take them one by one, and we try to work with them the best we can in that aspect on the leak side of things. And Cherie is working with them on the billing side.
Clay?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Ruth?
I love this city. That's it.
Cody, can you top that?
Well, I do love the smell of festival air. No, I'm just kidding with you, Ralph. Real quick, I feel like I'm the negative Nancy tonight. I had somebody reach out to me last week, and just kind of wanted to bring it to my attention and maybe to bring it up here. So the turn off Main Street onto Veterans, going right, going towards to the bridge. Everybody knows that turn. That's a tight one. That's if you got a camper or a 18-wheeler, that's a rough turn. But it was brought to my attention. There's maybe need some clarity on yielding to traffic or to pedestrians crossing the street. This particular person that reached out to me has a business there on the corner and just said almost daily it seems like somebody's about to get hit, or they're having a difficult time crossing the street there. And so it was something he was concerned about. He was worried about folks getting hurt. That's obviously, here in the next few weeks going to be a pretty congested area, a lot of traffic down there. And so he was thinking, even something simple like a do not turn on right sign, or, some way to address that, maybe make it a little bit safer for folks that are moving around downtown on that corner of Veterans and Main. So I told him I'd pass it along and let the people smarter than me see if there was something we could look at on it. So that's all I got.
Cody, that's a good point. In fact, we will pass it along to somebody who's smarter than us. Kathy, would you?
I'll pass it to Michael. So yes, we will certainly investigate that. Thank you. Is it my turn?
Oh, I thought that was your input.
No. I just have a really quick thing. First of all, I want to remind the public about our next special meeting that's going to be 6 p.m. Thursday night here in council chambers. The next chapter on our economic development planning efforts that we're going through as a community. That'll be at 6 p.m. here. And also to the board members, if you haven't already done that quick survey that Alex sent all of you, takes maybe 5 or 10 minutes for you to do it. It will help us organize our meeting to be the most productive for you for Thursday night. So your deadline, no, I don't get to do deadlines on you. I'm requesting.
You're suggesting.
I'm suggesting that if you could have it returned to us no later than 10 a.m. on Thursday morning, and then we can have a really productive meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. I need to thank Alderman Cooper for filling my shoes at the last Alderman meeting. I observed him from a distance. He did pretty good, don't you think? Kept things on track.
That was a very prompted applause right there.
He's getting more comfortable with public speaking, as we can all tell.
I've been working on it.
If I give my remarks, it'll be just ditto from every other time. I was debriefed. I was out of town for a couple of weeks. I was debriefed from Kathy of what took place, and I am just in awe with all the things that are going on at City Hall. I think our community can be real proud of what we have going. And a lot of it is due to Kathy's leadership. Other than that, I think I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, no, you got to read the paper. Do I have a motion to go into closed executive session?
I move to go into closed executive session pursuant to 610.021.3 RSMO for personnel.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you provide a roll call vote, please?
LeBlanc?
Yes.
Rodriguez? Howden?
Yes.
Cooper?
Yes.
Denham?
Yes.
Benton?
Yes.
The result of the vote, 6-0, motion carries.
The board will now move into closed executive session and will return to the council chambers once executive session is over to adjourn this Board of Aldermen meeting.
makes you feel good. I'm really like the sitting for so long. I was really ready for a break. Although I will say that I thought it was much later than it is, which is weird. And also, don't email him and expect him to call you back right away, because you won't do it. He's a very busy person. That's what you gotta do. Taneyville, or like, they do. Really? Or like Kirbyville. Kirbyville has like it's not high school, it's like, it's K through, whatever. But I know they used to ask for that. Yeah. Because they have, it's just like computers that don't work, where the kids could take them apart. Oh, to like practice? Yeah, makes sense. All right, they're coming back. Here we go. Yep. Do I even need to finish?
It's not bad.
Hey, get ready to get that off of there.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
We have 2 motions and 4 seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Thank you.